This time I want to share about pioneer history. It's history of Korea's economic development. And the reason why I share about this, it's because if you see the development of the nation, you can adopt that procedure to your family, also to your society and to your community. The frame is the same. Only difference is that about the scale and some different approach. The World Canaan movement in Korea is providing a model of practicing of the Canaan spirit or pioneer spirit with the developed history of Korea as sampled through the Canaan movement in abroad. It means World Canaan movement Korea introduced Canaan spirit or pioneer spirit. But this is through Canaan movement in the world, and the model is developed history of Korea, because there should be evidence or proof that when we use this one, there is a result come out. That's very important. And I just share about the location, geographical location of Korea. If you see this one, this is Korea, very small, and here is Russia and China and Japan. That means Korea was surrounded this country. Then when you hear the name of a country like Russia, China, and Japan, what do you feel? What do you feel? Big and powerful country in the world. But Korea is very small, very small. And Korea is the center of this China and Russia and Japan. It means we can imagine the history of Korea, how many times they were invaded by these three countries. Because, for example, if Russia want to go to Pacific Ocean, they should pass through this one. China also same. Japan, if they want to go to continent, they have to pass through Korea. That means Korea was invaded by three countries many times. Many times. You cannot count. But still survive. Still survive. That's why even in Christian way of interpretation, it's because of God's plan. We made it. Now, what is the political and diplomatic influence in Korea from foreign country in 19th centuries? In Joseon Dynasty. Under Joseon Dynasty, the foreign country gave influence to Korea. During the 19th century, Korea tried to control foreign influence by closing the borders to all nations by China. It means Korea closed the border, and they are not allowed to foreigner to come in and give influence, except China. And China had an influence always on the Joseon Dynasty. And in 1866, French invasion. Then in 1871, U.S.-Korea expedition. And in 1876, Japan forced to Korea open its ports. In 1897, Russia had an influence. That means you can imagine one small country, Korea, was influenced by these four. Now, what happened? Korea became battlefield of foreign countries. When I trained the African people, they say, oh, elderly, you know the Africa, we have many problems among tribes and the fighting and everything. But Korea also had the same problem, in the historical way of interpretation. Now, what happened? Japan created a war and tried to increase and influence Korea. That's why first war is Sino-Japanese War. in 1894 to 1895. If you see, Sino and Japanese war, this is not Korean war. This is not Korean war. But they use Korea as battlefield. Sino means China, battlefield. If you this map, all war occurred in Korean Peninsula. That means Korea became battlefield. Now, then here is the victory. Japan has a victory. And another one is Russo-Japanese War. Russo means Russia. And they have a war for 1 year. Also, Korea became battlefield. And, of course, Japan won. Then if you see this map, who suffered? Who suffered? Korean was the suffered. That's why to make a strong country in the world is very important. If your nation became weak, that means always you might suffer. Same, community and family is same. If your family is not so strong, that means you will be influenced from others. This is a history of the country, but you can adopt this experience to your family and to your community. Now, in 1910, finally Japan colonized Korea until 1945 for 36 years, what we call colonization. Now, we have to observe what is the social and political background on the Joseon dynasty. As I mentioned earlier, Confucianism is a principle of a society and principle of ruling and administration. That means their worldview is coming from Confucianism. Then under Confucianism, we also have 4 classes in society. Like in India, you have a caste. We have a same one in Korea. And the first, Yangban, what we call scholar aristocrat, this group is dominate government, the military, and society. And second is Jungin. It means middle people, the professionals such as government officers and technical workers, doctors, and artists. They are under Jungin. And third class is Sangmin, what we call commoners. Most of the population, like a peasant and merchants, artisans, fall in here. Now, in this the present era, businessman is almost number 1. But on Joseon dynasty, businessman under number 3, third class. And the last one is serfs or servants, what we call in Korea chonmin, is a low-born or outcast. That means this low-born outcast, they don't have any freedom. That means the children of low-cost born, they become also low-cost born, inherited. They cannot be commoners. We have 4 classes under Joseon dynasty because of Confucianism. Now, when we look at the contemporary history of Korea, after Joseon dynasty, Japan colonized Korea, and Korea colonized by Japan. What we call Japanese first occupied period from 1910 up to 1945. And during this period, Korean people are really suffering. First, economic exploitation. That means we lost land, we lost farm, we lost fishery, we lost industry to Japan. And in education, they banned to teach Korean language. Instead, they taught Japanese language. That's why in 1945, when we were independent, 80% Korean people cannot read and write Korean language because of this. And there was Japanese style education. And of course, distortion of culture and history. They changed the history of Korea in Japanese style. That means during these 36 years, we lost many things. We lost many things. Of course, people become poor. And in 1945, our country became independent, but not by our own effort. Because in 1945, Japan surrendered to Allied forces, then we were able to get independence automatically. But after independence, we have very sad story. What is sad story? Because our Korean peninsula divide two parts, north and south. Northern part occupied the Soviet Union, southern part occupied America, and northern part became communist country, and southern part became democratic country. Then what is it's a really sad story, because many people divide the two parts. Like me, I was born North Korea, and I came to the South in 1947. In 1948, the border was entirely closed. But still 1947, we were able to come to the South. If I don't come to the South at that time, maybe I'm now in North Korea, either in prison or the assistant of President Kim Jong-un. Then what is the meaning of this? My father has 8 siblings, and my father is eldest of 8 brothers and sisters. But my father is only one, came to the South. That means all 7 brothers and sisters are living in North. But we don't know where they are living. No communication. 1,000 people were separated from their relatives, their family. It's a sad story. We have that kind of sad story. Maybe some of you cannot understand. Especially Filipino cannot understand, because when there is a fiesta, all the family come to the house and celebrate. But in our case, cannot be. Million people separate from their families. And in 1950, North Korea invades South Korea, and we have a Korean War. And during Korean War, entire land was devastated, the economy was wrecked, and we lost millions of people. Then after colonization, after Korean War, what was left for us was poverty. Very poor. You cannot imagine how we were poor. Like when you live in I don't know about the Meghalaya, but I don't think you are worried about food itself. And Filipino, same, because nobody die by hunger, because they go to the mountain and take a banana. But in Korea, after Korean War, many people die because of hunger. Why? Because under Joseon dynasty, there was mismanagement and fault of the governance. This is very important. Even in your family, if you don't have a good management, you don't know when you will be fall in poverty. Even community, even nation is same. Now, what is society of Korea in 1950s and early 1960s after independence and Korean War? There was legacy of colony and devastation from Korean War, and of course corruptive and incompetent governance. Because of that, economy was trapped in cycle of poverty, and we are depending on aid. 80% our government budget came from the aid. Without aid, we will not survive. That means we have a debt to the world, especially debt to the developed country, debt to the United States of America. Because the major aider, donor is coming from the United States of America. Because without aid, we were not able to survive. And there was societies unstable because of ideological confrontation and disorder. Because communism and democratic, they always fighting each other because of ideological confrontation. Then what is the result? People fall in despair and uncooperative each other, and of course they lost their hope. This is society Korea in 1950s and early 1960s. I graduated in high school in 1964. That means when I studied in the high school, senior high school and junior high school, the society is like this. And what about the economy in 1950s and 1960s? There was low production and low productivity. That's why low income. Because they have a low income, they have a low savings. Because of low savings, low investment. Then this will be the cycle of the poverty. That means economy was trapped in cycle of poverty. But how we were able to survive? We just rely on foreign aid. But we are not just rely on aid. We try to find out a solution. Who can solve this problem? Even in the family, you have a difficult time. But important thing is, if you just think, oh, we are difficult, that is not solution. Solution is you can raise the question, who can solve this problem? Who can? Among family member, even community, even nation is saying. Then, our answer is very simple. A leader and the people with a clear vision and strong will by transformation. By transformation. Not only leader, but people. Even family is the same. When you have family members, not only father or mother, all family members should have the same vision and they should have a strong will. If they don't have a strong will, you cannot solve the problem. But in Korea, we have strong will and the vision. Now, Korean people challenge their life. Then, how they were able to develop. The figure, statistics is very important to see their development. The statistics are very important for their development. First, I just want to show the figure. Korea was the first country in 1953 after Korean War. The GDP per capita in 1961 is $94, two digit, $94. But it became, after 60 years, GDP per capita will be $31,489. It was 2020. That means when I compute 335 times increase, 335 times increase after 60 years. Then, Western economists study about this. How this is possible? In the world history, no country was able to reconstruct their country within 100 years. No country. But Korea was able to restore their country within 60 years, but it is tremendous increasing. But they cannot find out what was the reason. Then they just say, miracle of a Han River. Han River is the river flowing the center of Korea, center of Seoul, which is capital of Korea. Then they just say it is a miracle. Maybe we can say the miracle, but there was transformation. Transformation. This was the major reason and major cost of this development. But this transformation, there are two pillars. The first one is economic development plan. Economic development plan. In economic development plan, there are three factors. First, foreign capital inflow. Second, industrialization and export promotion. This one later I will explain more clearly. And another one, this is economical side, but the other one is a spiritual side. In the spiritual side, we have Semal Undong or New Village Movement. And this Semal Undong or New Village Movement came from, what is the root? The root was pioneer spirit of Canaan farmers in Korea. That means, as I explained for the first time, to have the fruitful and to improve the quality of life, you should focus on two parts, spiritual side and economical side. That means Korea proved that one. Economical side and spiritual side go together. Then also we have dream. Our parents have a dream, and I myself, when I was still young, I have a dream. That's why when I start business, my business 1973, I travel around. At that time, no email, and the telephone is very expensive. Then what we call is telegraph. But when I send message, no buyer answered. Very silent. In 1979, I have experience when I visit the Philippines to promote my product to the Philippines. Nobody want to entertain. What they say, I don't know where is Korea. I don't know where is Korea. Why I should meet with you? Then I fly, come here, and begging. You know, when I call to them, I spent this much by air. Then I cannot go back without something in my hand. Please, 5 minutes. Just meet with me 5 minutes. After begging, then they allow me to come. Then I was able to make 5 minutes to 1 hour. Then I was successful to deal with some of semiconductor company in the Philippines at that time. It means even 79, nobody knows where is Korea and how they know the Korean company. But we have a dream. That is the reason why even our friends, those who work in other company, they go around in the world because they use some immigration luggage, the big one, and they put all the sample inside and go to the Europe, go to the America, and they visit wholesaler, and please buy this. After that, now we are exporting country in the world. What is the meaning of that? Without dream, we were not able to do that. That's why dream is very important. I just want to show the very interesting picture. Those who visit Korea, raise your hand. Okay. And if you go to Korea, there is a small river, what we call Cheonggyecheon or Cheonggye Stream. And this picture is life in poverty, 1953. But this picture you cannot see anymore. Why? This one changed like this. If you see this river, The beside the river, all the squatters, and no CL, no washroom, then everything go to this river inside. But children have a swimming there. And sometimes it became black color. But now this was changed because government covered the stream with the cement. On the top of that, they made a skyway. Very nice. But now, even this one you cannot see it right now. How? Change like this. They remove all the cement and the skyway and convert to the beautiful park and beautiful artificial river. This water, very clean. And this became date course for the young generation. And for the family, this became park. Oh, okay. Honeymoon. Okay, this week I will preside over engagement in the church. Okay. What is the meaning of this? I showed the 3 pictures. What picture do you like? First, second, or third? Because that is what human being wants. Beautiful and natural. But remember, to make this, there is effort. There is effort. Now, I just showed one video. If you see the video, then you can clearly understand what happened in Korea during the war and what is happening right now.
Korean, this is how we know today, yet how they relook yesterday. Due to the surprise attack from Communist North Korea on Sunday morning of June 25, 1950, everyone packed their things quickly and fled their hometown, pushing the cars in muddy roads towards the south. On that day, a child became an orphan. It took only a blink of an eye. With no one to welcome them, with no one who invited them, anywhere they sat became their home and their bedroom. The only means of transportation was the train, but even that had no guarantees. Those who were able to get onto the train took carriages and some even walked towards the south. Thanks to the summer heat, people were able to settle on the beach. After setting up their camps, a temporary shelter, food became a problem. However, with a fire lighted, they were able to stir fry, boil, and cook anything. Even just barley porridge was good enough as long as they were able to eat much. Anything that allowed them to rest on their tired bodies was a blessing. With just a supply of aspirin and an antiseptic, they still felt lucky that they were able to care for their wounds and their pain. The hand-laden bridge was destroyed, so people had to walk across the basic river. It was not their first, but their second evacuation. frozen child's body with body heat. Fathers tied their sons to the handrail of the cargo train. Some even sat on the top of the cargo train. These were the only ways to survive. The war lasted for 3 years and 1 month. In South Korea, more than 900 factories and 600,000 houses were destroyed. By the end of the war, there were 200,000 widows, 1.3 million South Korean civilians, and 3 million North Korean civilians died. 2.3 million South and North Korean soldiers died. If we estimate North and South Korea's population as 30 million at that time, 1 in 6 or 7 have died in the war. Those who have lost their parents, brothers, and sisters have found themselves as orphans, and they made up about 100,000 children. Some begged on the streets, and some were adopted and brought overseas. The war indeed resulted in total destruction. However, we rose from the ruins of the war like a phoenix, because we ourselves started to restore our country. Schools were rebuilt, and even though we had to use primitive methods of construction, we realized that we were being united in spirit. Land development programs were launched in several places. There were no bulldozers or forklifts, but people solved everything by physical means. Planting the trees, long-term forestation programs were launched. New history was created in several places that enabled to heal the wounds from the war. Cultivation of Mongsanbi or Yellow Mountain began in 1954 by Canaan Farmer School in Korea. It was called the Yellow Mountain or Wasteland because the land was too barren. Canaan Farmer School founder, Elder Yoon Ki believed that cultivating a wasteland was his duty, and wanted its development to serve as an example to be followed in this difficult time. With much sweating and hard work, Canaan Farmer School found its place after 10 years. During this time, President Park Chung-hee toured Canaan Farmer School, and based on the principles of Canaan, the new village movement or Semaulundong grows. With its goal for the improvement of the quality of life, Semaulundong contributed much to the rebirth of Korea after the devastating war. During the years after the war, the only means of public transportation was the tram. A male conductor collecting the bus fare. We lived through this. Tourist bus was made by managing drum cans and substituting engine for military trucks. This modification has been the basis for today's automobile industry. Textile industry and other light industries reopened. At the end of 1950, radio assembly factory operation began, and this served as the driving force in its electronics industrial growth. Remains of war. At that same place, we now see tremendous growth. Busan Harbor, once a harbor of refuge, became one of the world's leading container port, storing huge amounts of imports and exports. The Grand Park developed along the Han River. Bare mountains transformed into dense forests as a symbol of our nation's wealth. The streets of those days and streets of today.
Ever experienced change so dramatic you lose all sense of time. State-of-the-art IT technology paving the way to the future. Unprecedented high-speed internet access available everywhere in the country. The world's best IT infrastructure. A successful business environment. The amazement of seeing an imagined future become firmly reality. The energy excitement builds as it flows through your body. The world nation of Korea awakens your spirits. We share our dynamic nations with the world. Bringing forth unforgettable experiences marked by intensity.
Maybe you understand more clearly about after watching this video. You saw the train going to south. I was there. I used that train to escape or exit to the exile to Busan, because North Korea reached up to almost near Busan. That means if there was no participation of United States of America, maybe we lost. That means what happened? Maybe I'm not there or something. And this is the story of Korea. But even though we have a difficult time, we challenge our life. That's why we were able to develop our country. Based on this one, what is the basic foundation of economic growth? First, there was farmland reform, and compulsory education. This was happened 1948, 1953. As I mentioned earlier, when Korea became independent, 80% of Korean people cannot read and write. That means there was no educational of Korean language. And until that time, many farm land was owned by landlord. That means many people, farmers, they don't have their own land. That's why first President Dr. Lee Seung-man had farmland reform, and it was successful. And the before farmland, the system is under Joseon Dynasty, that was under control of centralized system of the government. That means government control the land. And the landlord, small group consisting of the royal family and nobility and bureaucrats in the center. That means small number of the family own the land, farmland, and all others are tenant farmers. That means most of farmers are poor tenant farmers. This is happening in some of the developing countries in the world, even Africa, even Southeast Asian countries. For example, even in the Philippines, not so many farmers owned their own land because land was owned by especially clan or some other big family, and even other countries, even Africa is the same, and they just pay the rental for that. For that, um, under Japanese occupation, there was land survey project, and there was legal establishment of modern and land system. Before there was no land system, but under Japanese the regime, and there was legal establishment. But the collapse of small tenant farmers and develop the landlord system, there is no measure to protect small tenant farmers. That means they couldn't protect small tenant farmers. Then comparison of land value, 120,000 of Korean owned land value, 32% of total value. But 8,000 of Japanese owned land value is 68%. That means you know what is economic balance between Korea and Japanese. That means many Koreans lost their land because Japanese. Can you imagine 120,000 Korean owned land value, 32%, but 8,000 Japanese owned land value is 68%. There is a big difference. This is under Japanese firm. The number of land who owned more than 100 hectares, Korean is only 228 family, but Japanese around 365 family. That means you will understand how Japanese occupied our land and control our land. And there was an increase in small tenant farmers. For example, in between 1910 up to 1917, it is 39.4%. But in 1938, it became 55.7% increasing. That means during under Japanese regime, the small tenant farmers was increasing because Japanese occupied big land. And when the first president, Seungman Lee, take the government, elected as president, he tried to make farmland reform. This is one of the successful farmland reform in the world. Many countries failed. Then August 15, 1945, 77% population was engaged in agriculture. And state of tenant farmers and farmland size on August 1945, tenant farmers is 86%. Then tenant farmland is 68%. And the first farmland reform under U.S. military government, because initially after we are independent, we are under control of U.S. military. And U.S. military government received all Japanese-owned land on December 1945, and U.S. military government prepared the policy of farmland reform on January. U.S. military government distribute farmland by the Transitional Government Act number 173. They distribute 221,000 hectares. This is the first farmland reform under American U.S. military government. And second land reform is after the established the government. There was Farmland Reform Act on 1950. And the purpose is first, modernization of rural society through the improvement of the anti-feudal social structure in rural areas and the conversion of land capital of landlords into industrial capital or conversion of landlords into capitalist. Then the form of confiscation at the cost, distribution of cost. What is the meaning? At that time, North Korea also have the farmland reform. But North Korea, in case North Korea is a social procedure, that means they confiscated land, farm, and distribute. But in South Korea, the form of confiscation, but they pay. They pay to the landlord. And distribution with a cost. That means the one who buy that farmland, the farmer should pay. Should pay. Now, this is the procedure. For example, size of land distribution and owned by more than 3 hectares, compensation price is 150% of normal year harvest. Compensation method, 5 years, 30% per year. Repayment price is 150% normal year harvest. Repayment method, 5 years, 30% per year. It means, what is the meaning of this? When farmer pay, for example, $100 per year to the landlord, that means if they pay to the government $100 for 5 years, total $500, they can own the land. And the government buy that land with that amount to the landlord. Then there is a two purpose. One is land reform. The other one is they want landlord of farm to convert to invest in industry. That means they want to make industrialization. Then they want to the owner of the farmland to be industrialist. That was the purpose. But in April of 1953, it was done. But June of 1953, April of 1950, it was done. Because it was March. But as you see this word occurred in June 25. It means there is some the conflict between this period. And with this farmland reform, it was very successful. That is the reason why many tenant farmers was able to own their own land. Then I will show later what was the output from there. And the other one is compulsory education system. Because many people, they don't know how to read and how to write. That's why there was Education Act and the 6 years compulsory education plan of elementary school on June 1950. And they increased the budget for education from 8.9% to 15.2%. And enrollment became 96% in 1959. That means before they don't know how to read and write, but now they know how to read and write. This is very important because if you want to train the people, at least they know how to read and how to write. If they don't know, you can have a training program. They cannot get the knowledge. When you prove about development, statistics is very important. Because statistics show the results, not just talking. That's why when I prepare all the material, I always checking the statistics. Before and now and the future prediction. Now I want to show this one. Number of students from 1935 to 1963, Unit 1000. And 1935, elementary school, 717,000. High school is only 34,000. And university, only 3,000. Now, 1945, when we are independent, 1,363,000 and 89,000 high school, and university is only 8,000. But 1952, because we have compulsory education system, then elementaries become almost double. And high school become 445,000 and university 33,000. But after land reform, after farmland reform, in 1963, you can imagine elementary school 4.4 million, and high school become 1 million, from 89,000 to 1 million. It's a 1,157%. And university become 127,000 from 8,000. That means 1,587%. What is the meaning of this? How this was possible? First, 6 years compulsory education plan. That's why increasing elementary school students. And next, because land reform, increasing high school and university students. Because in the province, in the rural area, the farmers was able to own the farmland and their productivity increased. They have more profit. Then they can send their children to the high school, to the university. Then this is the result come out from 6 years compulsory education plan and by farmland reform. Now, in summary, after establishing Republic of Korea in 1948, there is farmland reform and a new education system. It was done by first President Seungman Lee. And this become fiscal capital and human capital. Fiscal capital and human capital. Land reform became fiscal capital and new education system became human capital. That's why when you develop something, you need two, fiscal capital and human capital. It should go to both. And this with the fiscal capital, we have an economic development plan, and human capital, we have Semal Undong or New Village Movement. When you conduct a Semal Undong or Canaan school training program, if they don't know how to read and how to write, that means they cannot be trained. And for the economic development, you must need asset or capital. And our land, our farmland became capital to develop our economy. This is the summary of in 1948. And this was done by the president of Park Chung-hee. Now, I just want to share about some economic development plan, 1960 to 1971. Early 1960, we have an economic environment. Basically, Korea lack of resources. It means we don't have anything. Like, for example, Philippines, you have many assets, many minerals and resources. And other countries, they also have some resources. But in Korea, we are lacking of resources. And there is a shortage and no resources capital because we didn't have any capital because everything was destroyed. And for the technology is very weak. And of course, business and industry was undeveloped because we have nothing. Then, what is solution? What is solution? Because always, as I mentioned earlier, when you have a problem, you have to look for what will be the solution. Now, check first what we have. Then, we have strong economical and political will. Because we have a dream, that's why there is a political and economical will. And we have abundant manpower with good education. This is what we have. That's why everything, when you develop something, we start with what we have first. Then with that, we call outward-oriented development. Outward-oriented development. Actually, this word was invented by me. I'm the one. Outward-oriented development means with what we have, we will use other resources from outside, from foreign countries, especially for the nation, for the foreign countries. Using what we have, we invited foreign resources from other countries. Understand? This is what we call outward-oriented development. Now, What is the mechanism of an out-oriented economic development strategy? Initially, we rely on aid. But after that, we invite many foreign investment. That means foreign capital inflow. Instead of rely on aid program, we invite many foreign investors and we borrow money from abroad. Of course, there is still small aid. That is what we call foreign capital inflow. And when we have foreign capital inflow, we will import capital goods from abroad because we don't have anything like a machine and everything, capital goods. And also we didn't have any raw material. That's why we import raw material. And we didn't have any technology. That's why we import technology. That means every sources become outside because we didn't have anything inside. Then this will go to private enterprise. And this enterprise, there is a government support. That means private sector work together with the government. Then what is government support? There was a technical development and educated manpower and tax incentive. And of course, there was export loan. Like export loan, for example, the regular loan, they just, the interest rate is just 10%. For example, export loan is only 5%. That means there is advantage when you export the goods outside of the country. And there is a tax incentive also. For the foreign export, they reduced the corporate tax. Then with that, private enterprise, manufacturing or processing and export. Then there will be economic growth. It means we don't have anything of the capital and raw material and of course technology, but we all import. And processing inside and we export. Then later, this can be our asset in the future. That's why I always emphasize the developing countries don't rely on too much about aid. Instead, invite investor. Why? Investor cannot stay there 100 years. After 10 years, after 20 years, they will leave. We have many the big company in the world, in our country, but their origin is all from abroad. Like Japan invest, American invest. After 20 years, they leave. Then we take over. When we take over, we can get their asset and their technology, and of course, export market. That's why I always emphasize to the Africa and also the Asian countries, don't too much rely on aid. Instead, you can just invite investor to invest here. And from here, there will be reproduction. Then there will be sustainability, continually cycling with the sustainability. Now, if I summary economic development plan in 1962 to 1971, there is a foreign capital inflow, and there was industrialization and export promotion. With that, we have well-educated manpower, was strong entrepreneurship and government support. Then here, strong entrepreneurship and well-educated manpower and government support. These three work together. Then we can make industrialization and export promotion. And with this, we could have higher economic growth. And there is a problem. The problem is imbalance in distribution of income between urban labor and rural farmers. Urban labor make big money, but rural farmers, they don't make a big money like urban laborers. That's why there is an unbalance. This is very important as politicians or government leaders, if you don't solve this problem, then there will be big demonstration and big trouble from the farmers area. Then we have, it's happened. Then Semal Undong or New Village Movement is helping this imbalance. How? As you see, as I show this one, this is economic development, but this Semal Undong is very important from Pioneer Spirit and Canaan Farmer School. Because through Semal Undong, the farmers' life is very improved. Very improved. That's why after 10 years, they have a balance between urban laborer and farmers. And the Canaan Farmer School was founded by Elder Yonggi Kim. Later, I will share about Semal Undong again, and what is the result and what is the process. And the late Elder Yonggi Kim started the land reclamation in 1931 as when he was 22 years old. And it is about transformation. And initially, he prepared the ideal village and prepared a fund for ideal village. But first step, he has a business. Because at that time, railroad construction is ongoing, then he has a business in the railroad station. And earn money, but not enough to start project. Then, second step, he invested gold mining. And he failed because it was fraud. That means he learned from this one. And he realized that the construction of the ideal village is not only made with money, but with sweat and wisdom. He learned through this fraud. Then how he started Pioneer Spirit, the Pioneer History of Canaan. The first birth of Canaan movement, historical background Korea in 1930s. Korea was first occupied by Japanese, and they lost hope for the future. And farmers' problem is national problem. And 80% farmers are peasantry. And try to make independence movement with hoe, not a gun or sword. Because the late Elder Yonggi Kim focus on economical side. Because if you don't have economic background, you cannot compete with other nation. Even you cannot fight against another nation. If you see between Ukraine and Russia, if Western country don't give help to the Ukraine fall down. Because they don't have a gun and they don't have the fire materials. And that's why Elder Yonggi Kim focused on economical side with hoe, not gun or sword. This is very good idea. If you become strong economically, always you can buy the gun and other things. But if you are poor, even you cannot support. And after that, he established Bongan Ideal Village. The purpose is to participate in independent movement by improving life. And to achieve this, first he educate and train the farmers, improve their economical life. And he tried to develop farm technology. And of course, he tried to develop cooperation and among farmers. Because at that time, many farmers, they don't want to cooperate each other. But he developed cooperation among farmers. And this is the late Elder Yonggi Kim. And this is at that time the village. And second reclamation is Samgak Mountain Farm. And starting 1946, this is the place where the Bongminism was formed. But from here, he created Bongminism. And third community is Eden Ideal Village, and start in 1952. Some education principle of community and family was formed here. And the fourth community is Canaan Ideal Village. And this community was started by family member, and they convert wasteland to fertile land in 1954. And if you see, for mission, for evangelize the people, they have a family band. Then all the family members is one of the player of the drum and the trumpet. And from here, he started to train the people. Now finally, he realized that he needs to establish some school to train and educate the people. That's why he established Canaan Farmer School in 1962. And it is formal education institute to train the people. And the former President Park Chung-hee visited Canaan on February 9, 1962. And this is the newspaper at the time he visited. And he realized that this Canaan Farmer School is as an instrument to transform the people. And he mentioned to his assistant, one family can transform the people. Why not whole nation? Then later, because of this, Semal Undong was burned. After he visited Canaan Farmer School, he was inspired. Then later, after 8 years, he started New Village Movement or Semal Undong. And Elder Yonggi Kim or Dr. Yonggi Kim was a Magsaisa awardee for social service in 1966. And he has a three slogan. First is, "Oh my country, take courage." It means he loved his country and people. And second is, if you don't like to work, do not eat. You recite the table manner before you start to eat. He emphasized hard work and diligence. And the last one is, with the Bible in one hand and the hoe in the other. What is the meaning of this? He practiced the word of God in his life. Not just learning and meditating. He prayed for 3 hours every day. But that is not all. He practiced the word of God in his life. That's why with the Bible in one hand, the other hoe. That means this one with Bible practice in the life. That is the meaning. And with the pioneering spirit, he contributes a lot of economic growth in Korea. I mentioned two, economical foundation and spiritual foundation. If you don't approach these two, we cannot achieve the goal. Even mission field is same. Always we have to approach both way, spiritual way and economical way. Then they can have their own sustainable church and sustainable life. And their life will be improved. Finally, 2001, we established World Canaan Movement in 2001. And actually, many people here passed away already. It's really passed away. And I'm the one who here. Very young, right? Very young. It's how many? 23 years ago. very young. Okay. Okay. Now this is the brief history about pioneering history, and including the development history of developed Korea. And for this, you can just think that it is country's history, but you can adopt this one your personal history. It's the same. It's the same. Then Korea became your family or your community. Then you will understand where will you go. Where will you go? Because future is very important. Past history is our lesson. And through this lesson, where we have to go, we have to find out a solution. That is the reason why I share this development to all of you. I believe you can understand, and you can have in your mind, and you can use this sharing in your life and your community, in your church or your convention or your nation. Then there will be a good result, good fruits will come out. And now, 4:10, I finish, and I will finish all of this. Thank you very much. God bless you.